So today we'll start about the web server. Web server is very important in our classes, as most of the examples are based on Apache and Nginx. Apache and Nginx are the two web servers which are very famous in the market. Okay, most of the websites nowadays are hosted on Apache or Nginx web server, and the third one is IIS and Tomcat. Okay, but let's learn about what are the various types of static and dynamic servers. Okay, web servers. So static means the page which is static. The page which we are seeing now is also a static page. Okay, we do not change anything to it. But when we talk about any kind of a contact us form on any website, it gathers some details and stores it dynamically in the database, or vice versa. It takes some data from the database and presents us on the screen. Okay, so that is called as a dynamic web server. And there are two types of serving the web contents. One is static, just now which I explained, the one which doesn't change, and other one is the dynamic content. So for most of the programming languages, the static web server will be Apache and Nginx. Okay, and for each programming language there is a there are some specific you can say modules available in each language, which helps us in serving the dynamic contents. For PHP we have PHP FPM, for Ruby Puma, Unicorn and Thin. Okay, for JavaScript we'll use Node.js as a backend. Okay, for Python Gunicon, and for Java Apache Tomcat. And for each language there is this different dynamic web server, but most of the contents can be served, static content can be served using Apache and Nginx, and that's what we'll be learning in this class today. So we'll start with the installation of Apache. So you can also follow along with me. So just start your VM and just run the command apache get update, apt get update. This will sync the repositories which are required to download the packages. And to install Apache, we'll just use the command apache 2, apt get update -y install apache 2. So it has acquired some log. That means something is running at the back end. So get update is not running properly. So I'm just trying to find that process and kill it. Now it will work. So most of the exercises are based on our simple HTML app, and that HTML app will need some web server to display the page. Okay, so most of the times we'll be seeing the examples of Apache and Nginx, and most of the examples are based on the containers. So before learning how to serve anything on the container, we should also know how to do it on the VM as well. That's why we are learning how to install Apache and Nginx on a VM as well.
So Nginx is used for what? It's a
It is a
dynamic.
it is a web server. It is mostly, you can say, it is for static web content. Can be
Oh,
used for dynamic as well, with adding some modules in it, but especially for static web content.
okay. So are we going to install any dynamic servers like Apache Tomcat and all? Because
No, no.
no.
Okay, so we have installed Apache now. Just check that if it is installed. Systemctl status Apache 2. Okay, active and running. So it is called Apache 2 in Ubuntu, but in Red Hat flavors like RHEL or Ubuntu or CentOS, it will be called as HTTPD. So sometimes we'll also use HTTPD. Okay, when we learn about Docker and all. So whenever we install Apache, it will have a default web fetch which gets displayed on port 80 of the VM on which we have installed Apache 2. So if you do curl localhost, it is giving us a sample HTML page which it has installed by default. Okay, Apache has placed one as a index.html page. Okay, and which gets displayed. And when we try to display it using curl, it will give the whole HTML code of the index.html page, or whatever default page which is defined in the web server configuration. We'll see how to check the default place where it has defined the index.html. But before that, we should know how to access the page. One of the method is to test is using curl. Okay, so it listens on one localhost and also on 127. Actually, localhost is an alias for 127.0.0.1. Okay, and we have to add port 80. But if we don't add port 80, then also it will work only for port 80. But for other ports, we'll have to mention the port. So if we see, it is working on localhost and also on 127.0.0.1. It will also work on 1.11, which is the IP of my VM. If I do curl 1.11, it will also display the web page. If you see netstat, okay, so netstat is not there, so I'll install it. It's available as a package called nettools. And also install telnet, something it is required.
Why do we need a net tools and telnet?
We'll see that next.
Okay.
So netstat command is available as a part of nettools. So let's do sudo netstat. Okay, and check port number 80. Okay, so if you see, it is showing TCP 6 and it's listening on port 80. So TCP6 mean it is listening on port both on both IPv4 and IPv6. It's listening on all the interfaces. All the interfaces mean if you do IPA, one of the interfaces loopback loopback interface, and which has an IP address 127.0.0.1, and the other interface ENP0S3. This is the interface which is assigned to the VM, and it's listening on all the interfaces. That's why we are able to access it even on 127 and 1.11 as well. So curl is the command which we use to troubleshoot on the command line, but we can also access this web server on from the outside in the 192.168 1 dot range only. It will not work on some other range, okay, until and unless it is a public IP, but this is a private IP, okay. So it will resolve from the other VM or other PC which is in the same range. So the VM is having an IP address 1.11, and when we see our laptop, okay, this is my laptop, and my laptop the IP address is I think 1.3. Okay, so today it got 1.2. Okay, so if any system which is in the same range, it will be able to access. And in the real world or in the production environment, the server will be hosted on some public IP address, and public IP address can be accessed from anywhere. Now let's see where the page is coming from. Okay, so if you see what it is saying is this is the default welcome page, okay, to use to test the correct operation of Apache 2. If you read this page, it means that the Apache server installed at this site is working properly, and it is saying that you should replace this file, that is var www.index.html, before continuing to operate the HTTP server. So this is the index.html page, and it is stored at this location, and there are some configuration file. For those configuration also there are some there is a location cat/etc apache 2. If you do apache 2, there are various configuration file, and in one of the configuration files here, the this location is mentioned as a document root where most of our default HTML pages will be saved. So let's go to apache cd/etc apache 2. We are not doing any configuration, but we should know how to check the default document root. So cat sites available and 00 default conf. So if you see here, it is mentioned document root. Document root means it will check for this location, that is var www.html, and the page which is available, or the pages which are available will be served to the external world. So if I do kitcat index.html, this was the page which was displayed on the screen. And if you see the same file again, so the document root mention is var www.html, and sometimes the directory index is also mentioned. So in directory index we mention about the index.html, index.php, or index.htm, whatever it may be. So by default it is taking the page which is available in var www.html. So what we will do is we'll just go to var www.html, and we'll just rename it. So for renaming, the command is mv index.html.original. So we'll have to use sudo. Okay, and I'll create a new file index.html. So our aim is not to learn programming or web designing. Sudo su cd var www.html, but to understand the concept, so what we'll do is we'll just write a simple line inside it, index.html. Otherwise we'll have to add some html tags and all, that we are not doing. this is my HTML page. I'm just writing a single line, and if I do curl localhost, that page will be displayed. So it will also available on 127 127.0.0.1. Okay, and if you check it from the outside world, it will be available on 1.11 as well. So sample index.html page. So if you so what we can do is we can download any of this template. Okay, so most of the people are doing the same thing. So we will take this example and just replace it, cat index.html, control D, and just try to access it. Okay, so this is how the websites most of the people create. They just get the many ready-made templates are available for free HTML templates. So just till now we just saw the index.html, a single page, but in most of the website the multiple HTML pages are there, images are there. Okay, a CSS is there. So if you download any one of the template from this site, so let's download this one. So let me copy this link if it works. So what I'll do is mkdir old mv star old, so everything I'm copying in the old directory. I'll just do wget and I'll download the zip file. So wget is one of the command to download any zip file or any file we can say. And what I've done is I've downloaded one of the website which is freely available on the internet. I'll just unzip it. So I have to install unzip command as well, apt-get install unzip. Okay, now just run the command unzip medi plus lite. But we have a directory inside HTML and it will look for index.html or index.php or whatever it may be inside the current HTML directory. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to move all the contents of medi plus lite to our current location. So here it has an index.html page, and this index.html page has link to other pages here, blog, single or contact and all. Now let's try to access the page. Okay, so if you see, a proper website is displayed on the screen and how easy it is to. So our aim is not to learn all these things, but I'm just saying that production ready website is created here using web server. Web server is a very powerful tool. So this was all about Apache. Next we'll learn the same
So,
thing
so you
using
just
an engine.
unzip all
Yeah,
the files to one. or
Yes,
one folder under the root directory, right? Under
yes,
the
under the var www.html, which is the default place to display the web pages on Apache 2.
So, like, how do you take that downloaded in that
So this is not important for you, okay? But in case you want to download it, what I did was here this is the download link, okay? I just said copy link address and I did cd/tmp wget that's zip file download link it was. So now next